Well, good evening and welcome to Jen Cares, powered by Chosen Counselors Mental Health and Holiday segment. See me? Mental health matters. Headphones. Mental health matters. And tonight we're going to talk about it. Why? Because it matters, okay? So I'm your host, Jen Cares, the founder of Chosen Counselors, a nonprofit organization that seeks to inspire, motivate, empower, and strengthen individuals and families. So for the month of December, we have a night 2 segment special for you. So thank you so much for tuning in. Be a friend, like, share, comment below, because this is going to be an open dialogue communication from us to you and us again. All right, we're gonna have a good time. So, it was interesting too as I was putting my word board together, putting mental health and holidays. I had to notice health. Do you see what's in the word health? Going back to school today. This side. Heal. The mental needs to heal. And in the Bible, it'll be like healeth, is what I'm going to say. So mental healeth. That's my Bible terminology for mental health. Mental healeth. We want our mental to be healed. All right. So I'm going to get started. I don't have any extra to do because we got a lot to cover. A lot. I mean, we had so much fun planning for tonight. And I want to make sure that you get all the tidbits to know how to identify mental health, to get the supports if you need some supports. And I'm going to make it as plain as I can make it. You hear me? All right. So help me welcome my good friends, therapist Tiff, and mental health educator Tramaine El-Amin. Woo!
Hey everybody.
How are you?
Oh, how are you?
So excited about tonight.
Yes, tonight is going to be
Definitely excited.
fun. I am excited, because this is our heart. This is like a vein of our heart where we enjoy this, because that's why we're in this field, and we'll talk about that in a second. So again, we're about to have a blast. I hope you guys, my chosen friends, are ready. So here at Chosen Counselors, Jen Cares, we like to do a quote of the day. So today's quote of the day is, "Your present circumstances don't determine where you can go. They merely determine where you start." Now, I'm not going to mess up that baby's name, but we see that quote and you see who said it. What's your thoughts on that, ladies?
That's right.
Who wants to go first on our thoughts for that quote?
Tiff, go ahead.
Okay. I was just gonna say I think it's just kind of points out that everybody has the opportunity to change. And your experiences or what you've been through doesn't really determine what your outcomes are. You get to choose that based on what you decide to do for yourself and how you decide to care for yourself. So that's kind of how I interpreted that.
Yes.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think, it really is about your mindset and being aware of what your mind is doing, where you are, that sense of mindfulness and understanding what's really going on with you means that you can determine what the next step is. You might not know 15 steps ahead, but you definitely can change what you're focused on in the moment. And then just take those moments and kind of thread them together to kind of make a bigger shift as you move forward.
I love it, because it tells us where to start. So we see we're in this situation. Now, where should I go? Tonight, we're going to find out some different places we can go. All right? So, as always, I have prepared some questions. But if any of my chosen friends have any questions, be sure to engage in this conversation by commenting below. So, I want to first start off. What led you to be in this field? Tiff? Tramaine?
Okay. I was gonna let Tramaine go first this time, but it's cool.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just feel like I've always been like a natural helper. All of my jobs when I was, before graduate school was all in the helping field. One particular job that I think kind of catapulted my decision to be a therapist was I worked in a domestic violence shelter. And I really got to see how therapy really was instrumental in helping some of these women kind of be able to overcome their trauma. And one of the things that really stood out to me was that most of the therapists that were working at this shelter were not of color. And most of the participants were. And so one of the things that I thought about was just like, why not create a space for people to come and feel comfortable and know that somebody that looks like them, talks like them, and maybe has some of the same experiences as them could help them in their process. And so that's kind of what brought me to being a therapist.
Can I pause there for a second? That importance of being able to see somebody that looks like you.
That part.
It's a difference.
Representation matters.
It does matter. You know, I remember going to some homes. I'm doing my internship, and we will talk, you know, amongst the other classmates, and they say, you know, be thinking that something is strange. I'm like, that's normal. That's totally good. Like, they're all right. Just help them with what they need help with. Like, don't make something bigger than what it is, because your feelings might get hurt. Go ahead, Tramaine.
Amen. That part. Yeah, we don't want the feelings hurt. I so feel the same way. You know, I often say when people ask me that question, sometimes, you know, you don't choose where you're going. It chooses you. Right. And whether that be by family circumstance and life experience or just seeing a need. For me, I worked in drug and alcohol counseling for 3 years at a program that needed some help to kind of embrace the future of what substance use treatment really looked like, and saw the issues within the systems that exist, right? This prison pipeline, this recidivism, not really dealing with the recovery opportunities that are afforded, especially to Black and brown people. You know, a lot of times the answer is not therapeutic. The answer is punitive. And so it really was about, for me, what can I do from a systems perspective to really make an impact? And so worked at a city and state level, and then at a national level to really address those systems that support the behavioral health infrastructure across the country. And so really excited about being able to delve into the help that's not only needed at the local level, but we need people and processes and laws and funding in places to make the differences in a really challenging time, and especially for people of color who really need services and supports, but rarely are the people at the table who are making those determinations about when those things happen, how they happen, and for whom they happen.
Yes, absolutely.
All those parts. All of them. Okay, so before I get to my comments, to the questions, I'm going to go to our comments, because Mama Wanda is here, and I love Mama Wanda because she's been with me since day one. So, hey, Mama Wanda, she's saying hey to my friends, too. She said she is here for it. Yes. Okay, hey, Nicole. PJ said, hey, Maney.
Hey, Peach.
And PJ said, hey, Tiff.
Hey, PJ.
I think I just got the plain hey. That's all right. That's all right. Hey, Sherry. Yes. Okay. All right. So let me get that off. All right. So we have some questions. What is mental health? Or I like to say mental illness. That's my word for the night.
Yeah. So I think that people, when you hear mental health, it automatically brings like a negative vibe to it, right? Like people automatically think of something that is bad, that it is something that like where you receive a diagnosis or something like that. But the reality is mental health is really caring for your mental wellness, right? And making sure that your emotions are intact, that you understand them, that you are aware of them, and that you know how to care for yourself in those moments when things may not be going as well for you, or your emotions are overwhelming, or your circumstances are overwhelming. And so I really try to not use mental health as much. And it's hard because that's kind of what we learned. But I try to use more mental wellness.
Yes. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, I agree, therapist Tiff. I am like, one of the things I get to do is help people understand what their mental health is, what to do when it's not in a great place, right? And where to go to seek help. And so I think one of the opportunities is to reclaim what that means and make it personal, right? For me, my mental well-being may be, today I'm going to eat whatever I want. And have a moment to like let myself go in one area in order to deal with what's going on, and to recognize that I have something going on and I just need some space in one area of my life. That's something that's helpful for me. Or it could mean that, I need to talk to somebody. Because I'm at a point where eating what I want, the things that I tried before aren't working anymore. So now I need to have a conversation. So mental health is being able to gauge where I am, not just being aware, but understanding where I am and what is going to help me and support me in that moment.
So I will also say I like the mental wellness, but ironically, mental wellness or mental health, health. What I say it was mental health.
That's what you said.
Mental health, mental wellness are Greek sometimes to us because we don't realize the importance of it. Yeah. So that's why I wanted us to come together to really talk about it, whether it be mental wellness, because that's what we want. We want to be well with our mental, and we want our mental to be healed as well. So we're going to talk about that, especially around holidays, because we have, if we're already dealing with some different issues that relate to mental health, mental wellness, other challenges comes up around this time. One thought that came to mind was finances. I can't afford a gift for everyone. I'm still robbing Peter to pay Paul, and I said January 1st, 2020, I wasn't going to do that. And here we are about to be at January 1st, 2021, and I'm still doing those things, Another thought that came to mind was bereavement. I lost my mom 17 years ago, so holidays aren't quite how they were when I grew up. Lost my dad 10 years ago. I lost my great aunt earlier this year, so lost some people, places, and things, But sometimes the holidays can cause me to feel like I'm alone. So that deals with my mental. My mental, is it well? Is it healed? Is it a little off? And what do I need to do to get that together? I can encourage somebody else to go out and get the support they need. And then I'll be chilling at home like it ain't nothing, Other thoughts that come to mind is depression. And we'll talk about these things more, of how this year went nothing is planned, I still work my normal schedule during the pandemic where I was going to work, or I worked extra hours during the pandemic, or I had a job, lost a job, denied unemployment, became a teacher during the pandemic while still trying to maintain my job, working from home, whole bunch of different things. Like, what are some other thoughts you think of that comes like with the holidays and just life that could be overwhelming?
I think all of those things are overwhelming, especially around the holidays. And I think, you touched on depression, and I think a lot of what you already talked about, like finances, bereavement, even family relationships, all of those things contribute to depression that people feel around the holidays. The finances piece, is really, at this point in the society, it's about gifts, right? But what if you can't, really afford to buy gifts? What if, there's holiday parties and things like that normally that people are expected to attend, and what if your finances don't allow you to be able to do that? Then you have to come up with some sort of story as to why you can't do it, or you feel compelled to come up with a story as to why you can't do that.
Yes.
And then bereavement, people have lots of losses, and around the holidays, it's one of those times where you can either be on either end of the spectrum, right? Like maybe you really want to celebrate the memories that you have of your people who have passed away, but you can be on the other side of the spectrum where even thinking about those people causes you to be overwhelmed, and it causes you to kind of spiral out. And so those are all kind of things that get, I think, more complicated around the holidays.
Very good.
Yeah, I agree, Tiff. This is a amplifier, right? You know how they had that saying, weddings and funerals, everybody be tripping?
Yes.
It brings out the best and the worst of us. I feel the same way about Thanksgiving and Christmas, and you kind of can lump them in that same category of being these times of extreme stress because of societal norms, because of external pressures. Because the folks that we complain are the same ones that's not paying your bills.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Yep.
It's the same thing, right? Yes. And we put these undue pressures on ourselves to perform. And I think, especially in the time of COVID, in the time of increased social injustice, in the time where we have so many complicated things that are happening in us, around us, and to us, that there's not the opportunity to really engage with, what am I feeling? What's going on with me? Can I slow down enough to pay attention to what's going on with me? And I think that's where the holiday stress comes in, because I'm trying to live my own expectations of myself, not factoring in that, early on in this year, one of my coworkers kind of pulled up this saying or statement, and I really liked it, and it resonated with me, which is, we are not working from home, we're working in a pandemic. in a quarantine and a lockdown. Is you got to know your circumstances and what's surrounding you. And so I think the holidays are but a symptom of the underlying things that are really happening for folks, and it just amplifies everything.
Yeah. So true, so good. And even like sharing finances of not having the finances to pay for the holidays and things of that sort. It could be because I lost my job. This year has been crazy, overwhelming. It's been a lot. People are dropping like flies a little bit. So it could be finances where, though I'm not going out to work, it's still things that are going on in my home, and I'm trying to still make $1 out of 15 cents. Some people got blessed with that unemployment, and I didn't get that. And I'm not trying to go to jail, so I won't do any funny business to get that. But some people like really, really got a blessing, and I hope that they used it wisely and things of that sort. But even with bereavement, it's not just so much death; it's the loss of things. What used to be my norm is no longer my norm. So that's a grievance or a grief process that you have to go through. And then that depression, I already was dealing with stuff when I came into this year. And then I thought I was getting myself together. Then March came. I was like, what? COVID? What? I'm Rona. You got to go, sis. And she did not leave, and has not left. And then we're not even taking that as serious as we should, because you're overwhelmed. You're just trying to get out the house. You're tired of being in the house, tired of that mask. Feel like you can't breathe. I had to ask some friends I knew that are nurses, how do you do it? Like when we first started out, it was an adjustment. And that's what, it is too. Your mental gets off. It needs an adjustment. I like to say like a wheel alignment. We want to get it back on track to the best of its ability to be able to help us to go forward. Yeah. But yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Overwhelming. I don't want to use crazy because sometimes people have a bad connotation with that. So I'm going to use another word. I apologize if, I'm not trying to, but you know what I'm trying to say. So hear my heart, that's what I'm telling you.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And like the list goes on. But what are some steps for us to try to acknowledge those thoughts, those feelings, those frustrations? Because it is a lot. Like I want to scream. I want to pull my hair. I want to just be like, you know what? Forget it. What are some steps for us to be able to acknowledge, okay, I'm just really overwhelmed. And then what is it that I should do when I realize, this is where okay, this is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I think the first step is what you said, acknowledging and recognizing that you are overwhelmed or that there is a change in your ability to kind of focus or engage with people or interact with people or do the things that you normally would do, right? I think if you don't acknowledge it, then you can't deal with it. So there's that acknowledgement step. And then I think, you need to talk to people. You need to use your supports, use your systems, the people who are there for you. And if you feel like they are not able to help, then you have other options, right? Reach out to, some people are not okay with a therapist and some people don't really know what therapy is. And so they're a little afraid of it. Talk to your doctor, talk to a teacher, talk to a counselor at school, talk to your pastor, talk to whoever you're close with in your church, or whatever, other connections that you have. Some people have coworkers that they're really close to. Reach out to those people, and really just kind of pay attention to, where you're at and what you have available to you. I think those are kind of the first steps.
I agree. And, so many times, Tiff, we put ourselves in a place where we don't want to bother anybody, right? We don't want to get into a point where somebody else you're being a burden to someone or being perceived to be a burden to someone. And I think it really is about understanding that no matter where you are, somebody is willing to listen. Yeah. You may not have found that person on the first try of talking to somebody. Maybe they're not the right person, but somebody is willing to listen. There's always someone who will be willing to talk, knowing what resources, because a lot of times we think we can handle things and then we get in the midst of them and we can't. And then we feel like we don't have like a break in case of emergency thing that we can do. Right. And so there's hotlines, there's the lifeline, you can call 888-273-TALK, right? And so you can call that number or 800-273-TALK. You can call that number, and you don't have to be in a suicide crisis, but you can definitely use it to at least get a listening ear, even if no one in your immediate circle is willing to listen, or you don't feel comfortable with that. I think that's part of it. And then the other part is scream, cry, allow yourself to actually feel what's going on. I mean, I think so many times, especially in our religious circles, right? we have this thing where, I'm too blessed to be stressed. I'm great. Jesus, take the wheel. All these sayings that we have, and it's okay. It's cute.
Yeah.
But we got real stuff going on, real pain, real hurt, real trauma, real family drama, lots of stuff is really real, and really dealing with that means being willing to be vulnerable, being willing to be wrong, being willing to talk, even when you're uncomfortable. And I think that's the biggest piece.
Yeah.
That's good. I like to say it's like putting a Band-Aid on something without cleaning it first. So you put that Band-Aid, that's nice. But if you didn't clean it, you can get some infection. Yeah. You can get some other things going on. So you still have to address the issue before you put that Band-Aid on.
Yeah.
So good.
Ooh, I was just going to say too, Jen, the other thing that I was thinking about is like set some boundaries. You know what I mean? Think about the things that are causing you stress, the things that are causing you to feel overwhelmed, and figure out how to create some boundaries so you don't allow those things to impact or come in your space as much. Maybe figure out how you can, still, if you still have to interact with people, how can you do that without feeling like you have to live up to some sort of expectation, or that there's some sort of responsibility that you have for someone else or for something else.
That's so good. Expectations get us in trouble. Not just our expectations that we have for others, but sometimes we put some expectations on ourselves. That's not realistic, Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But you're really not up to doing it, or your life is already hectic enough for you to be adding something else on your plate. You adding that something else on your plate is going to cause you to explode. So really, having those moments, those woosah moments to really evaluate and review. It's funny. I just saw Cammy, who was a coin counter. She came on and we talked about, she talked about having a meeting about her finances and things. Sometimes you got to have a meeting about yourself. Jennifer, you've been off. What's going on, sunshine? You got to slow it down. What happened to get us off track? I'm going to go there for a second. Us females get a friend that comes to visit us, right? And when she's about to come, you start feeling a little off and things like that. So you're like, what is going on? I have to have a moment like, okay, sis about to be here, So you have to be able to have that, part to calm yourself down, because if not, you're going off on people and you don't know what's happening. But if you're aware, if you're conscious, then you change your response to the other person. So I was gonna go off, but because I know it's because sis is coming, I'm gonna get myself together. But you keep pushing me, I may go off. So then we also sometimes can go off too, because we have to get it out. We can't just hold it all in, because then that's another problem. So with going to therapy or seeking support for our mental health or mental wellness, why doesn't it change within a day, week, month, or year? I mean, I came to you, I spilled my tea.
Yes.
Because therapists spilled the tea and heal.
Yes. Well, because you know what? Just because you spilled the tea doesn't mean you heal right away. Right?
Oh, man.
Healing is a process. Something that happens over time. And you have to expose yourself to the things that you need to heal from in order to actually heal. So if you're hiding from them all the time and you're always pushing them away or avoiding them or not really, acknowledging what it is, then you're not going to heal. And so you have to be in a place where you're able to say, I'm going to go through this process. And it's going to hurt. And it's not going to feel good all the time. But at the end of it, you're going to feel good. You're going to feel better than you ever have. And it's going to be a space in your life where you're going to be able to look back and say, wow, I did that. I went through that. I was able to heal from it. And now I know what to do.
Yes.
Yeah. I will say this. One of the lessons learned for me has been you could talk a good game, but if you don't tell the truth to you about what you need healing from, you will go into this constant, performative, doing performance art with your therapy sessions, right?
Yes.
Being having that opportunity to have a safe space to have that conversation means that you actually have to talk about the things that are actually bothering you, not the things you think are the right things to say, not the things you think are the things you feel like dealing with, but the actual things that are going on with you. Because I liked your analogy earlier, Jen, when you said, putting a Band-Aid over a wound you never cleaned. You could talk about it and talk around it and describe the wound, but you still haven't cleaned it, right? And so having that, being able to articulate all these things or say all these things about what's going on with you, and, you dissecting it, but not dealing with it and not actually doing the work to talk about it fully. That is also not helpful, right? So it's not just about getting in the door. It's about what you do when you sit down, right? Not about just drinking that tea or spilling the tea, but actually, being able to embrace what's being said to you and apply it to your life.
Yes.
That applying it is the key, though, right? Like, because we can sit in the therapy room, we can talk about it all day. We can talk about what you can do, what your coping skills are, how you can address some of these things, what you can do in order to be aware of when things are coming up for you, and how they're impacting your relationships or the way that you see yourself and the way that you function, right? But if you don't do the work outside of the room, it's not really that helpful. You'll come see me every week and we'll still be in the same place because you're not doing the work outside of the room.
That's good. I got a couple of things from what you were saying. One is if we're not addressing the issue, playing around with the duck, and you see the duck, but you're like, no, things that sort. And it made me think of sometimes relationships. We'll get into a relationship and it doesn't go well. So then we get into another relationship. It doesn't go well. We get into another relationship. It doesn't go well. Oh, it's him. It's him. No, sis. No, bruh. Let's have a conversation. What part are you playing in that?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we think that we are the greatest of the greatest. And we are the greatest of the greatest, but we still got stuff, and you have to be able to address that, because if not, you're just going to be from the next person to the next person to the next person. And then God bless you with somebody that wants to still put up with you. That's going to come up and you're going to have to address it, Another thing that came to mind was in spilling the tea. My studio was trying to fall. I got to hold my light so y'all can see. Shine the light, shine the light. Another thing in spilling the tea.
Jen, make it work. Make it work.
She gonna work it. And spilling the tea, right? So I had my cup, it spills. So I have to clean up the mess. That's a process. Because I may take a paper towel to clean it up, but if it's tea, that got some sugar in it. So I need some elbow grease with some soap and some water. Then I have to wipe it again. It's a process. And depending if it's the surface that you can use soap with or you have to use something special for, it's a process. So then once you get that together, you clean your cup. You're hoping that your cup didn't break.
Wait a minute. Let me write this down.
Listen, I need to use this analogy all up in my stuff. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Yes. You hoping that cup didn't break when you did spill it, because then you got to put it together again. Hoping that you got all the pieces.
This is good.
Or you got to get a new one. But then you got to still refill yourself from what you spilled out. Girl, I'm going to sip my tea in here.
Yes. That is a whole word right there.
It's a process,
But it is. Yes, absolutely. It is.
That doesn't encourage my own self. It's a process, Jennifer.
And us too. At the same time.
Because we're trying to get mental. What did I say it was?
Healers.
I'm trying. I can't even copyright it because I can't remember.
It's all right. We got you. It's okay.
Thank you. So another thing is, so we got these things going on. So is it okay for me to indulge in some extras? I find peace in drinking a glass of wine. But now because there's so much going on, that glass becomes more glasses, becomes a bottle, maybe another. So like or other extras that, people get into, whatever your extra is. I'm just going to use wine. You know what your extra is. I'm not here to put your business out there. You just find yourself on that thing. But when is the point where we got to pull ourselves in from an extra, or how will we know if that extra is becoming too extra?
So I think there's a couple things with that. I think the extra is not necessarily the issue, right? Sometimes it's not the behavior, but it's the reason why you're doing the behavior. So if you're doing the extra to be able to get away from something or to avoid something, then that's where it becomes an issue, right? And so if it starts to impact your ability to function, if it starts to impact your ability to think clearly, if it's impacting your relationships, that's when it becomes a problem.
Okay.
And that's when you need to start paying attention and saying, okay, how do I reel myself back from this so I can really take a look at why I'm doing these things and deal with that thing.
It's good.
That is really good. What I'm gonna say after that? That's good. Because that's it. That's the whole thing. It's it's what's getting in the way, right? And so if we think about it, you stub your toe, right? Put shoes on, go to work. You're good. You run over your foot get run over by a car on the way to work. It's a whole nother story. You have to do another process to really take care of yourself and to really go get things checked out, make sure nothing's broken. It's all these steps. And I think, a lot of times we don't respect ourselves enough to know where our limitations are.
Yeah.
We don't respect ourselves enough to know that we can't handle what we think we can. And I think it's a lot of times, I know for me, you get this mantra of strong Black woman, right? And you're living up to this expectation that others have set for you, you've set for yourself, what you want to embody, what you aspire to. But then you wind up in this place where you realize that was created as a abstract thought. It wasn't even, it's not a thing. Yes, there's strength, but there's strength of recognition of your limitations. And I think that's the piece that, we can recognize and we can say for others. We're quick to tell someone else what their boundary is when they've done too much, but we don't respect ourselves enough to respect our own limitations, to respect our own, to trust ourselves too much, right? We trust ourselves with ourselves way too much.
So I got another one. So she queen of analogies. I liked when you said about the toe, because I stub my toe, I can put my shoe on, I get myself together, I'm all right. But if a car runs over my toe, it's a different process. Meaning, sometimes we go through one thing where we can kind of get through it pretty good. But sometimes we got to go to a doctor. Because my toe might have got broke. So it's different levels to that too, of knowing, okay, this is something minor, this is something big. And it's different for everybody, because you might stub your toe and be, oh my Lord, I can't go on. I can't go to work today. I'm not gonna be able to make it in because whatever excuse you use, or you say, you hurt your foot, whatever exaggeration you do of that small thing, that's to you. And then sometimes we do embellish some things, but if the car does it, a totally different situation. It's another process too, because a lot more tea has spilled. That person that ran over your toe got to get out, got to show you some information. You show some information. It's a different process. So understanding too that each situation causes for a different process, and being open to whatever that process looks like. You go to the emergency room for getting run over, you're going to be there for a while too, especially now.
What? That analogy just brought me to something else, because guess what? Think about this. What you just described is two similar pains, right? It's a similar pain, but what you need in order to heal that pain is different, right? So it's what Tramaine always talks about is the levels. It's levels to this, right? So paying attention to kind of where you are at and what you might need in order to heal based on what you are experiencing. And so just because it's a similar pain, so yes, I lost my aunt, but I just lost my grandmother. Those relationships are different. And so the pain that you feel might be different. And so then you might have to deal with that pain a little bit differently. You might need additional help. You maybe can't do it on your own this time. Right? So paying attention to that.
Or even the same pain, different timing.
Yes.
Right? So same thing, different day. It's
Right.
like, okay, last week it was one thing.
Yes.
This week, because of the compounding issues that I have that are around me,
Mhm.
it hits a little different.
Different.
Yeah.
I need a little bit more help.
Yes.
And the sad part is a lot of times when we are that strong friend, you know how they say check on your strong friends, right? We are that strong friend. We don't give ourselves license to not be able to,
Yeah.
whether that's deal or cope or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Mm.
And so now we don't even know how to deal with it
Don't
once
know how
it
to
starts to impact us, you know, in the ways, because we figure if we could do it last week, why can't we do it now?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And
real good.
I also want to throw a plug out for people to what's the best way to put it? You know, I'm just going to say how it is, because we talked about two different of the same experiences. So grandma passed, aunt passed.
Mm-hmm.
They're still close to you.
Mm-hmm.
But me and my grandma might have been thick as thieves.
Mm-hmm.
So I handled it a little differently. My aunt, we was close, but not as close as that grandma. Whatever way I'm dealing with it, let me deal with it, because it still hurts me. It's still my feelings, and I'm still mad, angry because I lost his grandmother and I lost his aunt.
Yeah.
You know, or I may be cool that I lost the aunt, but I'm heartbroken about the grandmother. Different relationships.
Yep.
Different levels of processes. But don't put your word on somebody when they're going through their feelings for their situations. You want to be mindful of that, because if you stub your toe, you might be brokenhearted. Somebody else might be like, I'm used to it. It happens all the time. It's different for everybody. Just be aware. Be aware. We talk about levels. You know, I'm going to jump around a little bit. Let me throw in my levels image. So we got this level. I found this apple. I thought this was pretty good. Let me see. I got to open it up a little bit. I can't see all of that I want to see. So it says that, what's in that top corner? This thing is not letting me. Yes, skin. I got things covering. I'm sorry, my chosen friends. So it says the skin, how you come off to people at first. Then we got the core, how you are deep down. Okay. And I probably should have went to flesh, but I mean, here we are at flesh now, how you are once people get to know you. So there's levels, you know, you got to know there's some people that only know that skin of you. There's some people that know that flesh of you, but then not many people make it to the core.
Yeah.
Because we don't always check on our strong
you shouldn't
friends.
have put that up. I'm just saying, I have so much to say.
Go ahead. I'm gonna sip my tea because we healing.
Oh my goodness! What the first thing I thought about that is, you know, apple picking comes in seasons, right? And so there's different varieties, different flavors, all that kind of stuff. But also the thing that happens, or the thing that is, you know, really interesting to me is that at certain times and places in your life, who is at which level may shift, right? And it just, I didn't see that before, you know, when we were talking about it, but I didn't see it before. And I'm like, you know, around the holidays, a lot of times, depending on what's happened in between the two holidays, right? Let's say last Christmas and this Christmas, what has happened with your family dynamic, what's happened with your financial situation, who is in which place may shift, and how you see that person, how you deal with them, how you deal with yourself, all of that might be different and difficult during the holidays because of how that changed. You know what I mean? And sometimes, you know, Tiff, you were talking earlier about boundaries. And you know, the skin is there in order to keep people away, right? And you want to keep people in the right places. And I think, you know, allowing yourself to be a different variety of apple this year than it was last year. Our friend Peach, I'm doing a plug for Peach, has that shirt Evolve that I ordered. You know, you want to evolve. You know, it's like, give yourself permission to not be the same piece of fruit every single time and for every single person.
Wow, that was good. That
was good.
And when the apple got put up, one of the things I thought about, Tramaine, was when you were talking earlier about like coming into therapy and not sharing with your therapist all that's really going on, right? So most people, when they first come into therapy, they're at the skin level. They just on you what, you know, what's the easy thing? Let me just put this out here. This is why I'm coming in here today, girl. But then, you know, as you start to build that relationship and they start to trust you, then the flesh starts to come in, right? And by the time you're at the point where you're ready to start healing, or you are healing, then that comes out, because now we can really deal with things, and you can really show up as you and know that you're not going to be judged, and that way we can really get to some some heights in your goals, right?
Because they come in, they be like, I'm coming for this. But then we tap on something else like, oh, I didn't even, you're stepping on my toes. You're stepping on my toes. Because you like tap on one thing that opens up a whole another onion. They got some more layers that you got to work through. And again, if you want your mental to be healed, you want mental wellness,
yes,
you want to go ahead and go. Oh, that was good. That was good. Let me see, what else did I have in my notes? We skipping around, and as always, I just bring y'all back because this is always our hearts to talk about. We could talk about this with our eyes closed. So how should I verbalize if I have some mental areas that I need health in or some wellness in? How should I verbalize? And I ask this because I enjoy watching Married at First Sight. Marriage and family therapy is the background, so I like watching stuff about relationships and things of that sort. And on the most recent season, it was Miles and Karen, and Miles shared his experience with depression, and he went through how it affects him, what it looks like for him, and how his new wife, because Married at First Sight, she never met him before, she's getting him all with this baggage. What does that look like, and how can she support him and things of that sort? So let's talk about the importance of verbalizing it to others.
So I like to say Miles was amazing in the way that he put that out there, right? Like, let me just say, most people they're not aware enough to do it, and they don't feel comfortable enough to do it. So the fact that he was doing that in a relationship where he had just met someone, but was able to be vulnerable with her in that space, about the work he had already done. Right. And so I think really, if you are able to communicate in that way, and what your triggers are, what it looks like, what you need to feel better, and what type of support you need, those are the things you definitely need to be talking to the people in your life about. But let's say you don't know that, right? Let's say all you know is sometimes when the seasons change, my attitude changes, my mood changes, and I just want to be in my room. Sometimes that's just enough, right? Because you've already told me what happens for you. You told me when it happens for you, and you told me what you look like when it happens. It doesn't have to be all down and dirty. It doesn't have to be like really elaborate. But that just simple statement, when the seasons change, I get in a bad mood and I stay in my room. That is enough information for me as someone who cares about you to know what to look for and how to maybe show up for you.
That's really helpful. I think also starting a conversation could just be like, I'm not okay. Like on a basic level, I don't think we admit that enough to each other. One of the things I try to do when people say, how are you, Tramaine? I tell the truth. And they didn't ask for that because, they want to say something else. They want you to say something else, right? But I tell the truth, and so that's the part that I think just where to start the conversation on some basic words. You know what? I'm not okay. I'm not feeling okay. And, being honest about those things is really helpful, but also I think it might be helpful to, think about who you have in your circle that you can at least be honest with about what's going on, and not, maybe they don't need everything because everybody doesn't need to know everything, but maybe, you can trust them with something that you typically wouldn't say out loud. Right. So thinking about what is it that I'm, not verbalizing, what is it that I'm not saying to anybody? And can I just say a little bit of that and kind of test the waters and see how it goes? Because sometimes we have these issues of trust and we don't want to really put ourselves out there. We might have got burned before when we told our business, and everybody know your business. And so we're so concerned about that business, though, that it may be really keeping us from what life really has to offer us, and so we want to be careful about that. But just starting with, you know what, I'm not doing all right now, and being honest about that.
Yeah, it's so important. So important. And some people can't handle all of that. You kind of like blah, 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 blah. So let's talk about that. We're going to go to my images. We got some images to help us break this down. So we have two versions of it. I'm going to give you the first one of what this person would really want to tell you. Can you handle it? Let's find out. Hi, sorry I haven't texted you back. I've been anxious and depressed. I haven't had time to catch my breath. You know how life gets. I am so drained. I can't even collect the energy for the most menial tasks, like texting you back or washing the one dish in the sink. The weather has been beautiful, right? Yesterday, I fought off a panic attack while I was driving. I had to pull over because my vision was blurred. I focused on how blue the sky was. I haven't washed my hair in 3 days. I just wanted to sleep all the time. But if I told you, you would want to uncover a reason behind all of this. And there is no tangible reason you would accept as valid. How are you? I hope all is well. Let's get dinner soon. I like that. But now let's see what the person really did send. That's what they wanted to send. Hi, sorry I haven't texted you back. I haven't had the time to catch my breath. You know how life gets. The weather has been beautiful, right? How are you? I hope you're well. Let's get dinner soon. Now, a whole lot was not said in what was really said. Because everybody can't always take all of that. People, you try to give them your core and they're not ready. Because they got their own stuff they're going through. But, trying to be that friend to somebody else, that was a good one. That was good.
Really good. It was good. It really illustrates just how much is underlying the surface. When we talked about the apple image and what's at the core of what's going on, that flesh piece, although it's right there, right under the surface, it's so hard to break through at first, and, yes, being careful about who you're trusting. I don't know if you guys like, what's her name? Brene Brown, when she talks about the marble jar, and you got to trust somebody with some marbles. You got to give some to someone, and so it really, I'm simplifying it a lot, but it really is about, I try to gain from, different authors and different people. Sometimes you read a little bit and you get to understand, can I give this person just a little bit more? Can I give that person just a little bit more? Everybody, you may need multiple people to kind of help with different aspects of what you might be experiencing, because they have that knowledge base or they have that experience, and that, or you're willing to talk to them.
Yes.
But one person may not be able to handle everything. That's why therapy is so helpful, to kind of deal with some of these things.
Now, I had another one. I'm going to have to switch to green for a second. Let me see. It is not here. I'm going to find out where it is. I'm going to come back over to purple. But while I find out where that other that I wanted to share is, let's talk about this one right here. Bum. Heal yourself, but don't rush. Heal yourself, but don't rush. Why can't I rush it? It don't work that way.
Yeah. I think that goes back to what we talked about earlier in terms of the process, right? Like, if you rush the process, you're going to miss pieces of it that are going to come up later, right? And so then you haven't really healed from the thing that you're trying to heal from. And so I think it just kind of goes back to that. Like, it's your process. So you get to take your time and really figure out what it is that's going on for you. No, there's not a race. There's no time frame that you want to make it in 5 minutes, or you want to beat your time from last time. Like, it's not what it is. It's your process, and you get to choose how long it takes you to do it. And at the end of it, you want to make sure that it is really your healing process, meaning that it's not something that's going to continue to be a burden for you.
Got it.
I like that. And I think, Tiff, you were talking about, it's not a specific time frame. And I think a lot of times we think about holidays in terms of Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all this right now. But then also the new year. And I think, for me, a lot of times people, not so much resolutions, but they're like, they're getting their vision boards together, they're trying to do all these things. And then at the end of the year, they're looking back and like, oh, I didn't do any of those things. And they feel so bad around that holiday of, oh, I was supposed to get this done, and they beat themselves up. And I know I've done that in the past too, but I think it's about what the timing is for you. and what the timing is today, right? Every day is a new opportunity to start over. So you don't necessarily have to have it all together. And I think we tell ourselves that we like admire everything on Pinterest or Instagram, or, you know, we're seeing what other people are doing with their lives and like, oh, I don't have that and I don't have this. So therefore I can't really heal until I'm at this place or that place. And I think it's just so unrealistic. And really, these people, consider the source, because these people that's talking all that stuff, they ain't got it together like you think they got it together.
Yes, that part. Say that again.
When you go under the hood and see, you know, all the things that people might be dealing with, and there's nothing against them. They really might mean well because they heard that this might work. But think about whether or not somebody did what either they're trained, number one, like a therapist, and have that ability and that background. Or did they accomplish the thing that you're attempting to do for yourself, even in healing? And I think a lot of times people think they are healed, so they give you these ways and pathways that they want you to also follow. But you got to consider the source.
Consider the source. Another thing is we're saying like the Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's, Thanksgiving, but other holidays include birthdays, anniversaries.
Yeah.
Whatever time of the year you always used to do something special, you know, that anniversary of that date. You know, when my mom first passed, when her birthday would come around or the date that she passed would come around, some days leading up, my emotions would change a little bit. And sometimes it's unconsciously happening.
Yeah.
So those that are around me that know the core of Jennifer, then check in. Hey, Jen, how you doing? You good? You getting out today? What you doing? You know, things that sort. Because it's not just, now these holidays, sometimes they do suck. I'm not going to lie. It's been a long 17 years from my mama. We was close, you know. Sometimes they suck, you know. Sometimes, again, I said I don't go out. Some years I'll cook. Some years I won't. One year I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's what I wanted. Mind your business. You know? But, you know, holidays in general, whenever they are, can cause you to get in your feelings. And these feelings are valid, you know, and you want to be able to address them to get that mental illness or that mental wellness. Here's another quote we have. Did you heal or did you just force yourself to forget? Did you heal or did you just force yourself to forget? Talk about it.
I think that's a lot of people's coping, right? A lot of people have found that it's easier to just not deal or act like it didn't happen, or to pretend that it's not an issue in order to continue to like move forward and survive, basically. And you know, I think it's not always that recognizable, right? Sometimes people can present as if nothing's wrong, nothing ever happened, there's no issue, but then there's little inklings that you might get from the way that they talk, the way that they interact, the way that they function, the way that they their perspective, right? That there's something else maybe happening, there's something else going on. And those are the times where it's really good for people to do that check-in, like, are you okay? Because I don't know, something seems a little off, or you said this and I'm kind of wondering, like, where's that coming from for you? Those check-ins are important.
Very important.
Absolutely. I think it's so easy to think that you are done when it comes to here. It's like so easy because the way our lives are set up to just go. It's so easy to feel like, you know what, I did enough over there. That's enough. And keep it moving. And holidays bring those things back up, and the stuff that you haven't dealt with and the things that you don't want to deal with. It'll work for a while, a good while. You'll be good, trucking on with your life, and then smack right into the door or full stop, right? That something happens, some event happens that'll dig it all, you know. And so you really need to, like I said, that clarity with yourself and being willing to open the door to conversation, I think is really helpful. But also, you know, realizing that we're constantly evolving. It's never going to be completely done.
Right.
And giving yourself that grace as well to kind of incrementally work on things.
Let me get into these comments from my chosen friends. I'm gonna talk about this one right here because Urban Evangelist is stepping on my toes and nobody asked her to do that. I didn't want to tell my business today. But she said, you don't really forget. It's buried, but it will come up or out one way or another. Healing is needed. And I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm gonna tell myself, children friends. Yes, me who loves therapy, who loves to help others, I still got stuff too. Cause what? I'm a human just like you, boo.
Yes.
I was told that I was going to be interacting with somebody who years ago it did not end on good terms. Did not end on good terms, and because it was out of sight, out of mind, I felt I was good. You know, I felt like I had forgiven the person, but did I really? I was told that I was going to have interactions with this person and immediately. Oh yeah, I got a little uncomfortable because it was like an itch that I couldn't scratch. It was something I had to now deal with because again, it was out of sight, out of mind. I felt I was good, but I had to deal with it. I didn't really have to have direct connect with the person, but it still was a process, and I had to acknowledge that some healing still needs to happen. Yes, they did you dirty. Yes, you moved on and you're doing great. But, you know, let them go. And if I could tell you, God was just touching on my heart. And I was like, God, because I didn't really want to deal with it. You know, I felt like, you know, let me just keep forgetting it. But you have to deal with these things because, again, they will come back around one way or another. So you got to deal with it. Joanna said, hey, Jenny girl, this is my first holiday season without my mom present. It's been 11 months. I'm trying to stay focused. You know, as shared, it's been 17 years and she's not going to cry because she is, even if she do cry, it's okay because that's our feelings, friends.
Yeah.
But what I will say is I don't know that it necessarily gets easier. You will just learn different ways to cope with it. As shared, you know, some days, some holidays or events, I do get out and about. Mother's Day, I used to tell myself again, Mother's Day is whatever Sunday that is. My birthday is the 16th. 5/16, May 16th. If you want to send anything my way, it'll be coming up in a couple of months. But what will happen is it will be Mother's Day, then it will be my birthday. So I'm already depressed and irritated, agitated because of Mother's Day I can't celebrate. And then my birthday comes, I'm like, how am I gonna celebrate life? I had to work through that process. Then when I was in school, Lord, my mom passed. I was in my about to go into my junior year of undergrad. So that means I had 2 more years to graduate. Graduation year came. Mother's Day, graduation, birthday, another graduation. I was just like, what? It's overwhelming. So, but what I've learned is that each year, when you're up to it, you'll get out and do something. I've had sleepovers on Mother's Day weekend, you know, to keep myself distracted, keep love around. So you find what works for you. Okay. Do things to remember the person, do something in honor of the person. It's kind of how I got holiday give back started, and I'll talk about that later. But to be able to be a blessing to somebody else in their honor. So find what works for you. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's sometimes that I just cry. And then my special self will find one of these Christmas movies and the mother passed, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. But you know, I have to still be in that moment because it does hurt. You know, go through that process. And give me a call. You know, we can do something together to honor mothers, okay? What else she said? Mama Wanda said check-ins are important. Where are the people after the funeral or the breakup? Mother, you done said the word right there.
Yeah.
Because and that's always said too, how you know someone passes away and that first month is hot and heavy. I mean, you can't even get rid of those phone calls. And then months later, people have like fallen off. And I try to be more conscious of that, of people that I know, and I'll check them like, hey, how you doing? They'll say like, yeah, it's not really good. I'm grateful that I checked in. They'll let me be a little bit more present in that person's life because it's hard. Holiday, I promise you, Thanksgiving, I text somebody that lost somebody this year and was encouraging them to get out, to do great things. Where was I? In the bed under my covers. They was like, you do this thing. I was in the bed under my covers. I wasn't ready to get up. About 5 o'clock, my god sister called. Where you at? I'm on my way. Because I was going to pick up my plate. Now I do got things. But you have to, again, do what works for you. But yes, the hope is that those that know your core, Mama Wanda, and all our chosen friends, that they are checking on you beyond that funeral, beyond that breakup, beyond whatever that is that happened, whatever holiday that is, whatever issue that is. Because I mean, it may be a holiday, it may be something on that mental spectrum or that depression. Finances ain't how you want it to be. So I'm figuring that out. Okay, so I found my video. I want to share this because it talks about anxiety. We're going to find out what anxiety is. Let's see if this video gives you anxiety. Check it out. Now, let's talk about first reactions first. What was your first reaction with seeing that video?
It was a lot going on. It was a lot going on.
It didn't take all that. That was my first. Like, you don't have to get every little thing. Like,
right.
And that was my too.
A bunch of close calls. Yeah,
a bunch of close calls. Like, I love Mario. I be going back and forth for myself all the time on whether or not I should get me a Nintendo. But I was like, then you're gonna be caught up in that, and you need to be doing other stuff for your hustle and your grind. I said they gotta get all those boxes. Oh my gosh, they about to die. Oh, they didn't die. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh my gosh. Get the feather so you can fly. Get the feather. So you're going through all these different things, and sometimes that's how life is. It's taking you on all these different things. The process. It's causing you to have to hit all those boxes. And you're just like, can I just get to the tunnel to go down to go to the next level? And it takes you through this thing. I thought he was about to die. Then he got the feather, came back to life. I was like, oh, it's got Jesus power? Like, what's going on? So like, that's a great example of anxiety. Like, what are some things that people could do where, even like with an OCDism, sometimes I have that issue. Sometimes mind your business, chosen friends, show us love because you got something too. But whatever it is, like, what are some things to help us cope with those things? Anxiety, your OCDism that might rub off on somebody else, your depression, things of that sort. What is that?
I think with anxiety, one of the things you can try to do is try to stay in the present, right? Mm-hmm. Anxiety is really about worrying about the possibilities of the future. Mm-hmm. And so if you're focused on the future, you're missing things in your present and you're not really dealing with things as they occur. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's one thing you can do with anxiety is try to ground yourself and keep yourself in the moment so that it doesn't feel so overwhelming to think about what's next.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And in doing that, if think about one thing you can control, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. I can control my breathing. I can control, where I'm sitting, how my body is laying. Maybe I need to lay down on the floor. Mm-hmm. What can I do in this right here? Not thinking about the 10 steps that come after this. Yeah. But what can I do right now that I can control? And maybe that's just making a list. It could be just writing some things down, getting it out of my head and like on the paper so I could just leave it there and walk away for a few minutes instead of it just going around and around. But figuring out what are those things I can do that, might be small, but really can reset, what I'm experiencing at that moment.
Yeah. Like even if you think about like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique, right? So that's really just like in the moment looking at or thinking about your 5 senses and using to recognize things based on those senses. What do you hear? What can you see? What do you feel? What do you hear? What do you feel? See? What do you feel? What do you taste? And what do you smell? Yes. Right? So coming up with things that you can kind of tangibly focus on so that your mind doesn't continue to wander in those moments where you feel heightened anxiety.
That's good. Urban Avenger says, stop forecasting. That's it. It's going to be a snowstorm. People good for saying it. I was like, so you a meteorologist now? Like, I don't really watch the weather. I just go outside. Oh, it's cold. Let me go get a coat. I'm gonna do better one day. But we want to not forecast, because then we'll say something that's not the thing that's going to be. She also said about the video, is this anxiety or bipolar? It looks different for everybody. And I wanted us to also talk about, we're quick to say that person is a few cans short. So being able to acknowledge, what are some resources and supports that someone can obtain to be able to acknowledge, yes, they really are short a couple cans, but how can I support them to gain a can, or to be able to manage those lost cans, and me be okay as well as I'm trying to help them with the cans that are lost.
I think one of the things is just knowing what the cans are, right? I loved Urban Evangelist's question, because a lot of times we use this language and we don't know what we're saying because we don't understand it and it's so foreign. But when we really learn what it is, we can use it in the right ways and kind of help people, right? We talk about, oh, this weather is bipolar, oh, this is that. And sometimes, if somebody actually went to a therapist and got that diagnosis, are they going to come to you if you're talking about, using those terms in those ways? You won't be able to have that conversation. And the thing is, depending on your relationship, I will use the word crazy all the day long with friends, family, and all of that. I'm not going to get on, a professional panel, like this, or I'm not going to, do, if I'm doing something for community or, really public facing, I might not use that language. But knowing is half the battle, right? Knowing exactly what's happening, what's going on. And then you can know what resources, because you actually can see and recognize what those signs, those symptoms are, and help people put words to it, where before the only thing they had was crazy. Now they can be specific about what might be what they're dealing with.
It's good.
Yeah. I think it's important too, especially if you're talking to a specific person, maybe identify what it is that you observe that makes you have like a reaction, right? I recognize that you're not really going out much. Is there something, going on? Or I'm recognizing that you've been more isolative. How are you sleeping? How are you eating? Those kinds of things that we always say, how are you? That's such a loaded question. Like, I could just tell you I'm fine and that be it, but I could be feeling exactly how that that photo
Mario?
that you showed.
Oh, the photo,
the photo that you show. I could feel like Mario, and I'm all over the place trying to get all these coins and trying to make sure that everybody is, taken care of, and I'm meeting the expectations of the player, right? But in reality, if you're not asking real questions, you're not going to get real answers. So I think thinking about what you're going to say, when you're talking to the people you love.
And that's good too, because some people are going through what Mario was going through, trying to make all these ends meet, about to lose it, coming back, trying again, duck and dive and all that stuff, trying to make it happen. It's and they end up saying that, hey, how you doing? Life, the weather's good, right? I hope we can get together, because if I tell you everything I got going on, how would you respond?
Right.
Urban Man just also said, it's been 10 years for the loss of my mom. I just remember everything she taught and her corny jokes and wisdom. It's a process. Everyone's process is different. I'm going to say that last line again. Everyone's process is different. I remember my mom passed and I went back to school. It was like, I know her mom died, but do she gotta?
What did you say at the beginning? Don't get your feelings hurt?
Don't get your feelings hurt, And people can mean well, but not mean well, because I'm going to go to that too I'm going to go to that too. Let me go to this comment right here. Laís Blank said, I'm vocal about needing space during the holidays because it triggers me in my depression. I've learned that if I don't say that I need space, people see it as a negative and pride and want to be there, and it becomes invasive. That's the other thing too. Being mindful of people wanting space, letting people have their space. Sometimes you don't want to be bothered all the time. I get on the road for a road trip. Sometimes I just want my music. I don't want to talk on the phone. And I might not answer your call because I just want the music. I want to jam out. I want to vibe. I want to enjoy the sights, you know. But we want to be able to be respectful of other people because we know when we don't want to be bothered either.
Yeah.
So when talking about not wanting to get your feelings hurt, dun, 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 warning, mind your business. Warning, mind your business. So we threw this out there because another thing that happens during holidays is that people are all up in and out of your business. What are some of those dreaded questions, sis?
Ooh, you know those questions. When you having kids? Why aren't you married yet? Why you working so hard? Do you ever have free time? We can't never talk to you. Why you so busy all the time?
Where you been?
Where you been?
All
You
that.
ain't come home for Thanksgiving. Why not?
Why not?
Oh, you always come home by yourself. You don't got no honey?
Yes. The dreaded question. You want to tell people mind their business. Or, like, again, if I'm saying I need space and I'm vocalizing that to you, this is other part too. We want people to communicate. But then when they communicate, we're not always listening.
Right.
Or we just waiting for the pause so we can talk.
Mm-hmm.
If I say I need space, please give me my space. Because if you don't give me my space, it might get your feelings hurt. And then I'm going to be upset because I didn't really want to go there.
Right.
I didn't want to go there. But you kept on bothering me. And then I went there. And then now we got to clean that up. There's some more tea that got spilled. And we got to heal.
Yes.
I told you.
Go ahead.
And you can take it.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, and those dreaded questions create a lot of family conflict, right? It brings up unresolved family conflict. And so then it makes it harder, for people to want to be around their families. That is the reason why some people want to be alone. They don't want to have to deal with it. And a lot of times, it's those questions are coming from the elders, right? So you don't always know how to respond because on one hand, you want to respect your elders and you want to respect those, the traditions and the things that they view as like normal, right? But on the other hand, I'm not you, sis. And the way you did it may not have really worked out for you. So I gotta do it like that.
Consider the source.
And them being elders, we grown too. So please mind your business and leave me alone. I'm trying to be respectful. Nicole said, why are you still single? That's another one. And they said, what kind of job you got now? What kind of car? And
church? And church. Wow.
You even still going to church? And then don't let you have on something that they deem inappropriate.
Oh, you should. That's it right there.
One time somebody told me, they was like, you need a coat that'll cover your derriere. I said, well, this is my size when we want to go shopping. They didn't say not another word to me. They don't be ready, I've gotten better since then. But that was how I felt that day.
I think the other side of it is too, right? We're around people. And so this is about being in relationship with people. It's important to have our communities and to have being in relationship because you can notice people's patterns, right?
Yeah.
Because when people push you away constantly and consistently, that might be something else going on, right? It's not, just stay out of my business, leave me alone. But if that's your story all the time and it's not specifically because of the holidays, that's something else. And we need to dig into that. And we need to make sure you're not isolating yourself on a consistent basis, right? So understanding those patterns is really important. Yeah. That means you can't just be so self-centered that you're only thinking about what's going on in your neck of the woods. You got to look out and look beyond yourself and need my four and no more, right? And really pay attention to what's going on around you and the relationships you have and nurturing those and checking in now and again. I mean, I got people, I know, many people who I check in with once or twice a year, but y'all count on me to check on you once or twice a year. And then we pick up right from where we started, or you have people that you talk to, week after week. But knowing those patterns is important so you can see. I think social media helps with that, right? We notice that people just drop off or if they're posting regularly and those kind of things.
I just wish they would tell me the rest of the story. I see that you broke up with Bobo, but like, what happened? I saw how y'all got together. Can you? Okay.
You know, the other thing about
Jen,
that
mind your business. Mind your business,
I'm
Jen.
sorry,
Mind your business.
mind my business. But you told me on your business.
Tramaine, what you were saying about patterns too, I was just thinking like, you know, there's family patterns and traditions that occur around the holidays, right? There's some families that when they get together, they want to drink and, you know, have conversation and play cards and whatever else they do, right? But there's some people, if they're sober, if they're dealing with sobriety and and they're in recovery, being around those people can be a real trigger and it can be a real struggle for them, right? And then you have, you know, your family members who want to buy all the expensive gifts. If you're struggling financially, it's going to be really hard for you to want to be around your family in that season, right? So just kind of thinking about how the things that you value for yourself impact the way other people show up or can be in relationship with you during those times.
It's those boundaries you were talking about earlier, right?
You know, I was hearing as you were saying it, respect my walk. Because my walk is going to be different from yours. I'm about to start this t-shirt business. Maybe, I don't know. It takes a lot of work. I don't know.
Do it. Look, we doing it out here.
You're right. We gonna see, but respect my walk because now again, pull me in when I need to. Because as you say, you know, there's some people that you're checking with. But I tell you, every time I talk to Tramaine, she pulls my life together. I'd be like, I wasn't even expecting it. You want those people too that can identify something, pinpoint somebody that knows the core you, that can help you get yourself together. So, but also being aware of others and knowing that they do have some stuff going on. So how can you support them? How can you be there for them? The ministry of silence, because I don't need you yapping all the time. Just be there. And when I'm ready to open up, you know, I had a situation this year, another thing of grief and loss, that my great aunt had a dog. I took the dog in, got everything situated for her, got her cleaned up everything. Within a month, she had an ailment and it was like causing some trouble and things of that sort. And I had to take her to get her put down. My blessed Fifi. Oh, I tell you, a month, it doesn't take long for something to become a routine one. And it affects everybody differently. I was heartbroken. I had to put Precious down. I said my Fifi. And a friend went with me. So we went to have her put down and things of that sort. I just cried like a baby. And then when it was done, you know, I did like a little prayer while we was there. We had like a little service for my Fifi. Because it was only a month that I had her in my care. I say I did hospice, maybe a little over a month. And then she was like, you know, I'll do this. I was like, well, you could pay for the repast. Let me be. We had a repast at the diner, went to get something to eat. But as I was sitting there, even eating was hard because I was still processing that loss. She didn't say anything. She just sat there. When I was ready to talk, I would say something. She would say things to like try to lighten the mood and things of that sort of when she felt like it was the mood, you know, so that person knowing you to know, okay, let me just be.
Yeah.
And then when I'm ready to come out, so that person that can really help you as you go through, because it's hard and it's different for everybody. You got to trust that process.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. So I had some other questions. I wanted us to talk about being 201, 302. Did I say that right? Yep, I said it right. And some other things. But if we do identify this person that needs his mental health services, and this touched my heart because we had a young man that was tragically killed due to some mental health issues. What are the steps we can do to get that person support when they are in crisis?
I think one, just recognizing that they're in crisis, right? And figuring out what does that look like, because it looks different for everybody. Sometimes you don't know. But being able to be present with them may give you some more inclination that they are in a crisis. Again, everybody's crisis looks different. It's not always an aggressive, outpouring emotion or behavior. Sometimes it's really a withdrawn and inward, response.
Yes.
Just kind of being able to recognize those things, I think, is the first thing that you can do to help. But then there's also, supports around the city where you can call the mobile crisis team. If you're not really sure, you can have somebody come out to have a conversation with that person and really determine what might be helpful for them in that moment. I know we talked about before mental health first aid training and being able to do that training, which Tramaine does, to be able to do that training and kind of understand what a crisis looks like, how you can recognize it, understand it, and then what you can possibly do to help.
Okay.
All of the above is what I say to therapist Tiff. I think the other thing that we can do, definitely want to know the resources ahead of time. I think, a lot of times we scramble and then we choose a choice that is the immediate choice because we don't know what else to do. If we think about some of the unfortunate killings of individuals with mental illnesses that have these signs and symptoms that are, it being expressed, and then the response doesn't meet the need to deal with the situation. And that's often because we don't know where to go in advance of a situation and what resources are available, or those resources are tied up somewhere else, and they're not immediately available. So knowing what those hotlines are, I mean, knowing the domestic violence lifeline, knowing, because everything that's a crisis that's related to your mental well-being isn't necessarily just the mental health crises. It's all kinds of family dynamics that's on the rise, definitely because of the pandemic, and that's also because of the holidays. It always goes up, so you definitely want to know what those resources are. And I know Jen Cares has plenty of resources that are available as well.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So the time has really left us, but because I love mental health and I want us all to mental healers and I want us all to have mental wellness, I'm going to make sure that we have one of these segments quarterly, probably every 3 months, because it's so important. Because again, mental healers and mental wellness should not be Greek. And I want to make sure that we are addressing those things. So be sure to send me some questions you may have chosen, friends, so that I can be sure to add them in. I did just want to share this image, even though I probably it talks about different levels of coping. So it's mental wellness collective. So it talks about thriving, just making it, sis is struggling, code red crisis. So I'll be sure to post this so you can know where you find yourself. And again, we talked about wanting to acknowledge where we see ourselves. So I want you to be able to acknowledge where you are. Are you struggling? When we had my pastor, again, my favorite segment, sorry, I still love these, but we talking about the person drowning. If a person is drowning, they don't care who saves them, but you have to reach out, you have to call out so that somebody knows, hey, I need help. And that help or that call out for help may be that withdrawal, not doing the same thing. Hey, you're not around, you're not posting, you good? Is your phone on, your phone off? Oh, I'm taking a break from social media. Cool, not a problem. You want to hang out, checking in virtually. I mean, we done did these Zooms till we can't Zoom no more. But you want to be able to, get that support and have that support if you do need that. So I do want y'all to give me something to close out, because I like to do a nice rewind that I'll post on Thursday, which is a recap from today. So what's something that you want us to walk away with? Who wants to go first?
Tramaine, you can go first.
Okay, sounds good. I think that the one thing I want people to know is that they don't have to be alone if they don't want to be, right? I think that, there's people who will listen, people you can reach out to, that there is help available. And it just starts with a simple conversation, and that you may feel like that conversation is so difficult to even start. But those things that you are dealing with, you're not the first person in the world who's ever going through what you might be going through. And so that there's help available, there's healing available, and that, you can access those services, supports, or whatever you need, even if it's just a conversation, that people are available to talk and to listen.
Very good.
Yeah. I think I just want people to know that healing is a process, and don't rush it, and don't rush yourself through it, and allow yourself to really take the time to go through it in a way that allows you to understand who you are, what you've been through, and what you want for yourself going forward, and how to get it.
So good. Thank you so much for joining me, ladies. This was great. Did y'all have fun?
Absolutely.
Of course.
Always
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask them on camera to make sure. Oh my goodness. So I do want to share, this is the 24-hour mental health delegate line here in Philadelphia. I will also be posting and sharing this. Again, call and get that support you need. We talked about the mental health first aid. They do some trainings all around the world. So you can always check in on that. Also want to do another plug because therapist Tiff says, spill the tea and heal. And she has the Healing Collection. So shop the collection at therapisttiffllc.com. It is live now. So get your therapist Tiff, spill the tea and heal mug, or you can get a t-shirt that says, Therapist Tiff says, it's the healing for me. Or God Therapist Tiff says, God plus therapy, healing essentials. I need that one. I'm about to get that one. Because those
that might be coming.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you so much. So that was all the images and things I wanted to definitely share. We didn't talk on all the points, but again, we're coming back in March. March will be 3 months, right?
Yeah, about March.
Yes. Yeah. So y'all let me know what Mondays y'all available. Yes. Let me see what the comments say. They looking at me, y'all. They looking at me. Nicole said this was really good. So glad I tuned in. I'm so glad you tuned in as well. I love you, Jenny. I love you and all of my chosen friends that are here. Mama Wanda said, I thank God for you ladies and all this important information and resources you have given. Yes, yes. Sandra said, very good, Jen. She trying. She over here trying. Crystal said, thanks. Crystal said, awesome. Lisa gave us some hearts. Latasha said, excellent info. Look, we out here trying to help the people. All right. That's what we're about, bringing the community to you. So I thank you so much for joining us. And I'll chat with you ladies before March. Let me know when Monday.
It worked.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jen.
Awesome.
So much fun.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you again so much, you ladies, and have a great day. Oh my goodness, that was amazing. So I got to tell you about some things we have coming up. I have been working hard to bring you some good and amazing things. So first, I want to say from the top, bottom, all around my heart, thank you so very much. We are having our 5th annual holiday give back, and we had a fundraiser that we posted last week, and donations have been coming in. And I can tell you, she cried a little bit because I am just truly grateful that you support the mission of Chosen Counselors to be able to encourage and inspire others. We normally sponsor one family, but this year someone reached out to me and said they had another family that needed some support. And you think I was going to say no? Not this girl, because Jen cares. So we have 2 amazing families that we are sponsoring for this Christmas. And I thank you so much for the donations, but I didn't want to slight anybody. If you want to give, you can still help a sister out. So again, we have our PayPal on there and our Cash App on there. You can also go to our website at chosencounselors.com to make a donation if you would like. So we thank you. I also want to share the second part of our December 2-piece segment is Love Comes Down, a Christmas play next Monday at 8 p.m. Can y'all tell y'all friends and family? I can't tell y'all how much fun we have at our rehearsals. This play is going to be great. I told them it's live. We just going to have fun with it. You forget a line, you rock out. But we've had so much fun, and I want you to come back and join me, okay? What else do I have for you? Yes. If you have a topic or an idea that you think would be amazing for Jen Cares, let me know. If you know a guest that would be an amazing addition, let me know. You can email me at chosencounselorsinc@gmail.com, or you can drop a comment, send me a message, whatever works for you, all right? What else do I have for you? Don't forget our quote of the day. Your present circumstances don't determine where you can go. They merely determine where you start. Now, again, I'm not going to mess up that baby name, but y'all remember that quote. It doesn't determine where you go, but where you start. You want to start to make those changes. Also, I'm going to let y'all into another secret. I'll let some more secrets out next week. But look at what else your girl got coming. Bam! That girl is doing a podcast. So that means that if you caught one of my lives or missed one of my lives, you can just go right to Spotify and catch a rewind. Yes, the whole episode. So we're on YouTube, but now we're about to be on Spotify. She moving up in the world. But hey, we all about giving communities to you. Okay, so I told you about the resources. I told you the 800 number. We talked about the quotes. We talked about that. Yep. That's all I have for you tonight. So again, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate each and every one of you. Again, thank you for all your donations. Thank you for your donation of time. Y'all rock with your girl for about an hour and a half. I appreciate that. You didn't have to do it because that means you care about your mental health. And I want your mental wellness to heal. All right? So be sure to join me next week. It's going to be amazing for our Christmas play. Until then, I love you.